I was thinking about doing more of a story on this. I don't really feel like doing it, though. Whatever. We'll just watch it.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
Yeah, so the Trump administration, in an 11th hour indictment, is trying to bring a case together against James Comey, former FBI director, and yeah, it's a whole thing. I guess it is. Like, I don't know how many people actually care about James Comey, considering exactly how much he has contributed to bring us all to this point over the years. He's the guy who dropped the report on Hillary Clinton like the week before the election. He then was like one of the guys who was supposed to like come out against Donald Trump, and he came out with like some embarrassing things about Donald Trump, and that was about it. But the administration these days is dedicated to petty revenge. That's essentially where we're at right now. This is petty revenge hour, and like it is very disturbing because, of course, that petty revenge is being done through an immense abuse of power that is effectively turning the Justice Department into Donald Trump's personal law house. It denigrates the institution and the I don't know, our American principles, I guess. If I'm gonna get all highfalutin for a moment. And this attack is just it's comical. Just just listen to this. With your knowledge of like the last 10 years of political events, just listen to Stephen Miller throw this out there.
What James Comey did is truly one of the most severe assaults on our freedoms and liberties that has occurred in the whole history of this nation, Sean. What
James Comey did was that was the worst thing. We had slavery, man. We had slavery. We denied people their own humanity for like 150 years. We didn't allow like indigenous people to practice their religion until 1978. What are you talking about, man? Everything about this case, by the way, is just absolutely blown up. One of the fun facts about them attempting to file this and get an indictment is that in the indictment process, right, you have a grand jury. A grand jury during an indictment only hears information presented by the prosecutor, right? So Trump, basically Trump's lawyer had freedom to present an entire case completely with no pushback, and was only able to get half of the grand jury to vote to indict, with like the chairperson like coming in to break the tie. Like, do you know how like shoddy your evidence has to be? Do you know how shoddy your evidence has to be to barely get that? Also, again, in the name of petty vengeance, FBI fires agents photographed kneeling during 2020 racial justice protest. It is truly just silly as hell. Do we have the picture in question? God, okay. It's just, yeah. The photographs at issue showed a group of agents taking a knee during one of the demonstrations following the May 2020 killing of Floyd, a death that led to national reckoning over police and racial injustice and sparked widespread anger after millions of people saw video of the arrest. I mean, it's not just video of the arrest, it's video of a man being choked to death on the side of the road by a police officer, but okay. And, just as we go forward, and as we really look at how all this is coming about, right? Here's just another clip I want to show you, and then we'll give you some closing thoughts.
Just before we turn to the government shutdown fight, because it is hugely significant, are you personally okay with Trump telling the Attorney General to go after his political opponents? Are you okay with that?
I think it's an accountability issue, and I think the courts sort it out. I think we need to stay in our lane right now, and our lane is doing our job. The president clearly wants accountability, and once again, this is one that will be decided in the courts, which is exactly where it should be.
All right, so let's turn to what's happening in...
No follow-up question? None at all? Like... You're just fine. You're just fine with like the Justice Department being like the direct tool of the president. What a just absolute travesty of a show. Like, one of the things I want to throw out there, chat, is that where we're at right now is really awful. The weaponization of the DOJ, the persecution of marginalized communities and groups of people, the crackdown and attempted online brown shirt movement that has sought to get people kicked out of their jobs and their homes for, doing anything less than paying full lip service to conservative cause. All of this is going to get worse. Our civil rights are going to be further enfranchised, and this administration is only capable of clamping down harder and harder. That is it. It's all they know how to do. And not only is that all they know how to do, like the speed that they know how to do all that on is at high speed, right? Like, we have to move fast and break things. Probably an ethos that they got from the tech bros that have been moving and shaking the Republican circles. But this is, in fact, a liability. Doing things both incompetently and quickly, with little chance to stop the worst ideas from making it out into the world, it's gonna break stuff. And when we're talking about breaking society, well, people are going to notice that, and that's going to be a big problem. Chris Hayes actually put out a pretty great segment on this, and I wanted to go over it with you guys, because I think he gets a lot of things right.
Or who have experienced its rise firsthand in other countries, is that they've been genuinely shocked at how quickly the Trump administration is moving compared to other regimes. Earlier this year, The Guardian spoke to one political scientist who studied this at Harvard, who said Trump is throwing authoritarian punches at a much greater rate than any of these other cases in their first year in power. But we don't yet know how many of those punches will land or how society will respond. Usually, these kinds of autocratic incursions move more slowly and deliberately. For instance, in Vladimir Putin's Russia, it took 2 years before he was able to successfully bully a late-night comedy show that mocked him, called Puppets, off the air. Donald Trump got Jimmy Kimmel pulled in just 8 months. Although, of course, Kimmel came right back. And I think there's a reason for that. They are simply going too fast. I really think the speed at which they are trying to rip apart a free and open society is a huge tactical mistake on their part. For some reason, it reminds me of these videos that I keep seeing in my social media feeds. Have you seen these ones? Don't ask me why, but I'm obsessed with them. They're like computer simulations of various cars driving very fast over like 100 speed bumps. And the takeaway is pretty simple. The really huge vehicles, like the pickup trucks and the minivans, they do better at top speeds. They can sort of drive over them fast. But the smaller cars, well, they usually can't handle it. They end up doing that, just like...
This is maybe one of the silliest things I've ever seen someone on television admit to being obsessed with. Like, I'm not gonna lie. This did make me like Chris Hayes a little bit more. Like this is just like very, very silly.
Crashing and burning. If either of them just slow down a bit, they get through this just fine. But I kind of feel like the administration is trying to do this. It's like speed run over all of the obstacles, just trying to like plow over for it. But I am also not so sure they can handle it at the speed they're going. That they're doing so much so quickly. People really are taking notice. They're at 40% approval rating in the polls. And they don't like what they're seeing. It was shocking to people. I think across the political spectrum to see Jimmy Kimmel yanked off the air after a mafia-style threat from an administration official, or to see James Comey indicted. It's jarring to see mass secret police forces or military troops on American streets. It's not creeping authoritarianism subtly taking hold while no one is looking. They're just doing it in front of all of us. So the backlash has been real. And Disney bringing back Kimmel is an example of how that backlash has power too. It may just be the case that one advantage for the people who so deeply want to defend American democracy and freedom is the reckless speed the Trump administration is going, because they don't actually have the public behind them. What they're doing is genuinely scary, it's genuinely dangerous, but is also very unpopular.
Granted that Chris Hayes maybe made this argument in the gooniest possible way, but I am gonna say that I think that he does have the substance of this right, even if the example he gave was absolutely out of left field. But the issue at issue here is the fact that the current administration doing what it is doing on the trajectory that it is on, and with the material circumstances being what they are, like, has set itself up for failure. There is nothing that they are currently doing that is going to ensure long-term stability, long-term success for what they are trying to do. One of the things that they are painfully aware of is that everything that they are going to do between now and the midterms is on a timeline. Part of why they have been rushing as fast as they have is because the midterms look really, really bad, and what is happening is only going to make their prospects worse. And that's a big problem when your entire premise at being in power is essentially, when all of us are in charge, look at us, look at how good things are. Except that, like, the AI bubble's about to pop. By this time not this time. By next summer, guys, venture capital is effectively going to run out when it comes to the amount of money that can be pumped into AI. The rate of investment into AI is not sustainable. And the second that investment starts petering off, that bubble is going to explode. That bomb is going to go off. And that is going to come at an extreme amount of cost to whichever party is in power. And judging by the timelines that I'm aware of regarding capital, that is going to be sooner rather than later. And you combine that with the disappearing of people off of streets by masked individuals. You combine that with, people being like targeted, arrested, and silenced because they didn't say the right thing about a deceased figure. Like, these are all horribly unpopular policies. Like, all of them. Even among Republicans, a lot of these policies are horrifically unpopular. As tariff damage continues to sink in, it's gonna get less popular.
Explaining it using a weird metaphor, with car crash visuals to match, makes it more memorable for the people watching. He knows what he's doing.
It's true, Nomi Sunrider. Chris Hayes is one of the good ones. And what we're looking at here is essentially an attempt to use like rebar to just like break the kneecaps and the joints of like our democracy, but you aren't going to be able to finish that job by the midterms. That creates a pretty big problem here. And so I guess where I'm at here is that the Trump administration has been trying to do an awful lot. They got all this funding for ICE. They got all this funding for like cut from Medicaid. They got all this funding cut from all kinds of different things across the government, but like they didn't actually take into account how this was going to hurt people and what happens when these hurt people suddenly realize who's hurting them. Because that's going to happen. That check is going to come due. At some point that check is going to come due, and it's, you know, maybe it never will for Republicans. The vast majority of Republicans, they're off in la la land. Maybe they're never going to be reached. But when we're talking about independents, when we're talking about Democrats, the two groups that make up like the majority of this country, oh, that check is going to come due. Independents swung for Trump. They're not swinging for Trump anymore. That's for damn sure. The approval ratings, when you take away like Republican voters, Trump's approval rates are in the tank among anyone on the left or even on the center or independent or whatever. You know, it's when we're talking about like a popularity game, not even how do I even rephrase this? My mind is discombobulated. When we talk about, you know, oh, the frogs boiling in a pot of water, you know, like, oh, they aren't realizing that they're being burned. That is predicated on the water slowly being brought to a boil. If a frog hops into boiling water, it's gonna hop back out immediately because it's gonna be hot. And so I guess what I'm trying to put out there is that public opinion, as it gets lower, spurs action. It spurs action. The more discontent people feel, the more likely it is that they are going to act to alleviate that discontent. Hefe HZ writes, I'm in farm country and I swear I've seen a lot less Trump signs since tariffs started hitting. I'm wondering if Iowa flips blue. Yeah, no, I just like a month ago, I was on a trip up to the North Shore of Minnesota, right? And, you know, to get up there, you have to drive through hours and hours and hours of deeply red parts of the state. And when I was driving up there in, you know, before the election in 2024, there were Trump signs. There were Trump signs all over the place on that drive. Doing that drive again this year, not a one. Not a one until we got off the road into like deeper Trump country, right? We saw one. And so a lot of this support is, I think, softer than some people realize. Probably because the election is not relevant anymore. Have you met Trump supporters? They don't take down the signs because the election's over. Yeah, like these signs in rural America, they get left up until like they rot away. So all I'm saying is, I think that there is some truth to what Chris Hayes is putting out there, which is that the Trump administration has attempted to go too fast, has not offered the American people any actual benefit. All of the proposed benefits have actually been complete and utter bullshit, complete and utter horseshit. You know? And like, I think that at some point those chickens come home to roost. Talking to Dragonfly recently, she said her rural Democrats have exploded in people joining, talking 5 to 10 times the people as average last year. Yep. A lot of local Dems are seeing it. There were 2 Trump 2024 signs down the street from me as soon as the merch was available. I don't know the exact date, but one of those disappeared within the last month. Yep. It's not a sustainable movement, folks. Fascism is not sustainable. Have you heard the conspiracy that both parties are essentially the same entity? No. I mean, yes, but that's not exactly it, but also yes. It's stupid. It's stupid because the reality is that capital has thoroughly infiltrated and corrupted a large part of our politics. The uniparty narrative isn't real, but what is real is that like capitalism incentivizes corruption, and both parties are very corrupt, just in different ways. So essentially the same? No, actually. Like, capitalism incentivizes companies to compromise our political process by essentially giving money to politicians to buy political favors, right? That happens on the right and the left, because now money is allowed into our politics, and that is complete and utter bullshit, and it needs to be something that we purge from our political world, right? When it comes to what is being supported, they are not supporting the same policies, and both ultimately rely on the ground organizing. How would you replace lobbying? I would make it illegal. Frankly, I would make it illegal. I think that, like, if lobbying is to be done, it should be done by, like, your constituents meet with you. You take calls from your constituents. Isn't lobbying illegal? No, lobbying is actually incredibly legal in this country. It's crazy. How would candidates pay news stations to get their names out? I would have publicly funded campaigns. Like, in a lot of countries, you get a set amount of money to spend, and you can use that to like run a campaign how you see fit. Maybe I would make small dollar donations an option to supplement your campaign, but like you can't take it from a company. Everyone's limited to like $100 max. Like I think that would be like I think that would be like the most that I'm willing to entertain. I hope Kat wins. I hope she does too. Once you reach centimillionaire status, you should be completely removed from politics. No vote, no PACs, no lobbying. I mean, I just want to get rid of lobbying altogether. Like, fuck it. I have never heard a good argument for it. We have spending limits here in Australia, so the parties just advertise things that aren't them, but what they do, it's still a mess. Yeah, we'd have to like meet other challenges, but I think starting with the root problem and then working out from there is probably the way to go.
Riverboat deck is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube is where she streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Her sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat.